Welcome to my tutorial for 1943 for the NES. And I didn't find this game to be too difficult until I got to the final level, and the final level was brutal for me. It probably took me over 4 hours just on that level. But I did learn a lot, and I can definitely, cut down your time on that level with this tutorial. I definitely have, some things I can break down that might not be that evident by just watching the video. So, this is basically just intended for people who want to beat the game. I'll try to explain everything. I like starting off with offensive and, offensive power, and I think I selected energy, but you could go with defense as well. But I would recommend leveling up your defensive and offensive capabilities first, because those are the things that are going to probably keep you alive the longest initially. Though it doesn't start getting harder until a little bit later, but the game gets pretty fucking dense for an NES game. There's a lot of bullets, especially later on. Early on, you can, on this first level, none of the planes shoot at you, I believe. They just drive around. So you can use that to power up your ship, in the meantime. But keep in mind that if a plane crashes into you, it usually seems to do like maybe one piece of damage or very little damage. But if you get hit by a bullet, it does massive damage, which doesn't really make any sense. But, that's the logic of old NES games. So, you can use this time in this level to try to get the weapons that you want to have. And I'll try to explain what the different weapons and upgrades do. I got plenty of time because this game's about 1 hour and 23 minutes long. It took me about 8 hours and 42 minutes. But, had I known a few things on the last level, I really could have saved a lot. I probably could have did it in 5 or 6 hours. I mean, easily in 5 or 6 hours, not... because, of course, if you know a game, you can beat it really fast. But, there were some simple things that I really shouldn't have overlooked. But I didn't take them seriously. And one of those things was getting as close as you can to an enemy turret when shooting at it and using the shotgun weapon. Because the shotgun weapon destroys the bullets of the enemy. So you can get really, really close to a turret, like right up to it, and you'll kill it a lot faster that way because you'll concentrate the fire. So that's one way to really, for the last level, that was really essential. But, yeah, so I'll try to explain. There's not going to be much to say here except for the basics, so I'll try to cover that first. By shooting the air, sometimes you're going to see sparks in the air when you shoot the air. Keep shooting that area, and if you shoot it enough times, you'll reveal some kind of hidden item. Sometimes those hidden items are basically upgrade shops. If it's a dragonfly that appears and you touch it after shooting the air in that area, you'll get 2 points to upgrade your various stats. If it's just a shell, you'll get 1 point to upgrade your stats. So keep that in mind. You can also reveal stuff like cows and various things that give you a certain amount of health back. The best thing to unlock is usually it's kind of a star shade. It's not really a star. The star will give you your full weapon power back, your weapon energy. But there's another symbol that's somewhat of a white star with red in the background. I don't really know how to explain it, but it'll give you 140 health. It'll pretty much... I think it gives you... Well, no, I'm sorry. It'll give you all your health back. In the final level, it gave me 140 health because I had all my health upgraded to 140. But yeah, it'll fill up your health, basically. So that's it's a rare item, but it's very good to get. As far as the permanent upgrades, you get those in the shops, which is basically a screen that comes up where you can upgrade your stats, either by collecting like this shell-looking thing that you get for shooting the air, or the dragonfly, as I mentioned, which will give you 2 points to upgrade. So, and there you can choose your upgrades, and those upgrades are permanent, but they only stay with you if you actually succeed in beating the level after applying the upgrade. So if you die, then you'll start the level that you got to from the beginning. You do have unlimited continues, so you don't have to worry about running out of continues. And there are passwords. The password also saves your upgrades that you manage to beat the levels with. Aside from that, I'll explain what the upgrades do a little bit later. But aside from that, there is if you see a formation of red planes, shoot all the planes in the formation, all the red planes, and you'll reveal an item, and it's basically a power-up. And you can switch what the power-up is by shooting at it. That'll switch it to something else. I think, see, shoot all those planes, now you got this item that I got, which is a healing item. But if you see that, and this is the shop. This is one of the shops that I revealed. So you got offensive power, defensive power, energy, special weapon, and special weapon time limit. Special weapon is the more of those that you upgrade, the more special weapon choices you have to select from. Which you select them by shooting. After shooting the red planes in formation, you reveal a power up. By shooting that power up, it reveals different special weapon upgrades, and health replenishment and things of that nature. So the special weapon time limit will allow you to hold more weapon energy, which the weapon energy determines how long you can hold your special weapon for, your upgraded weapon, before you go back to the base fire, which what you see right now, I have the base gun, which is just the base gun you start out with. It's the lowest weapon you can have. Because if the weapon energy timer runs out, then you're just stuck with the base weapon. So the weapon energy time limit is good because you'll be able to have your special weapons out for longer before they go away. Of course, you can keep them around longer by collecting the same weapon again. If you collect the icon for the same weapon again, you'll add more weapon energy, and you'll keep that weapon going so it doesn't run out. If you collect a different weapon, then you'll still have your weapon energy as you had before, but it'll switch to a different weapon. So you don't always want to do that. There's really only one weapon that you really need to beat this game. The other weapons I don't find useful. So I would say just get the shotgun weapon. The shotgun weapon, it's basically when you're shooting the power-ups that come from those red plane formations. It's one of the early ones that appears, and it looks like a maggot basically. And when you see that little maggot, you grab it, and you'll get a spread shot, but it's very weak. So what you want to do is you want to shoot the plane formation a second time, because you can max out any given weapon by collecting its icon 2 times. See that maggot right there? I collect it. That gives me spread fire. Now if I collect it again, then I get the maxed out spread fire, which is the one you want, because this one is pretty much shit. So I'm probably going to... I don't know if at this point... see, now I'm trying to get it again. So there it is. And that's the maxed out spread shot. And that's what you're going to want for most of the game. That's pretty much the best weapon in the game. And the upgrades are pretty self-explanatory. Like, energy upgrade is basically your max health. Your health drains constantly at a slow rate. It's where it says E on the bottom right corner. That's your health. And that's always going down. So... upgrading your energy will allow you to have a larger amount of energy that you can hold at max when you're filled up. You can get it up to 140 when it's maxed out. Of course, the special weapon timer is the bottom left corner. That's the symbol that gives you full health. I only got 70 health because that's all I have currently. But eventually you can get it up to 140. But the weapon energy is that bottom left-hand corner. Timer. So you can upgrade that so that it doesn't, so that you have more, so it takes longer for it to run out when it's filled up. And then offensive power means you do more damage with your shots. Defensive power means you can take more damage before you die. And I think that covers most of them. But if I'm missing one, I'll look when it comes back up again. But that's going to be the general idea. The tricky part sometimes is when you do shoot those plane formations, those red plane formations, you have to shoot the power-ups a few times to get what you want. And it's very easy to miss what you want, especially if you're using rapid fire like I am. I don't even use I'm using a rapid fire setting on the emulator, and I don't even use... what is it? Right, I don't use the charged shots. So, if you're not using rapid fire, you can simply hold down the fire button and you'll charge up a shot. You can release a powerful shot. But personally, I just didn't find that it really did much for me. So, for this plane, the only part you have to shoot is one of the wings, either the left side of the wing or the right side of the wing. You don't have to shoot it in the middle. I don't even know if it hurts it if you shoot it on the body part of it, but just shoot the wings. Eventually you'll hit enough and it'll explode. If you're using the shotgun weapon, you'll be able to shoot the bullets down so they can't get to you, and you'll pretty much be able to just take it out very easily. So that's why I recommend that weapon for the whole game pretty much. You also have another button, which is your special attack. It's pretty much like a screen clearing lightning. And what that does is it can get you out of bad situations if there's too many enemies, of course, because it will clear the screen of weaker enemies. But for the bosses, it's extremely useful because for the boss, it'll freeze the boss momentarily and the boss won't be able to shoot for about a second. And that's a very rare item. I mean, it seems very good, the planes on the side, but I've gotten it very few times in the game. But yeah, it'll freeze the boss. It won't damage the boss, but it'll freeze the boss when you use your lightning attack, which is button A. And in that time, you can get a shitload of shots in on the boss and take out a bunch of the guns on the boss ships. To defeat a boss ship or a boss, for the most part, most of them are ships. Like, what they call, I don't know, I forget, but, they're basically just ships. They're like, where planes land on and shit like that, aircraft carriers. So then they just have a bunch of guns on them. So for the most part, you just have to take out all the guns on a given ship, and it destroys the ship. Now, the problem is if you take too long and you miss, like, one gun, the ship won't die. And then the ship will escape, and you'll have to do the entire level over. So you really have to be able to take out those guns fast. But yeah, keep in mind that using a special weapon will freeze the ships and give you a chance to get in a lot of bullets. And of course, taking into consideration what I said about going right up to the turrets when you have the shotgun weapon only, because if you do that with other weapons, it's very dangerous because you'll get shot because you can only shoot down bullets with this weapon, the shotgun type weapon that I'm calling it, the maggot, as I said. So that's the only weapon where you can shoot down bullets. So it's pretty much an essential weapon because if you don't shoot down bullets, the game is extremely difficult because a lot of times bullets are invisible because of the glitchiness of the NES, where bullets and ships become invisible because there's too much on screen. And also, another thing that's going to happen a lot later on is that you're not going to be safe by just staying in the back of the screen, like on the bottom of the screen, because enemies will be coming out from the bottom of the screen and hitting you. They'll just appear right on your ass. So you're not going to be able to just sit back there later on. So that's one thing that makes the game a lot harder. But you're not going to see me using some of these tactics to the maximum until the last level, because that's when I really, really had to refine certain things. Like I was saying, getting really close to the guns to take them out was one of the huge things changes that I made on the final level after hours of dying on that level. Probably died on that level for over 4 hours, but I really didn't need to be stuck on it for that long. But, I think I can save you some time by giving you a little bit of a breakdown what I did there. Another thing that's really important to try to do in this game to make things a lot more manageable is obviously not to die, but you want to try to carry over your power-ups and your health and everything to the next level. So basically you could start a level with your maximum health, whatever it's upgraded to, and a special weapon if you bring it over from the previous stage. Now, if you die on the next stage, even if you get there powered up, if you die in the next stage, you always start back with a base amount of health and no special weapon. So it's beneficial to try to keep your survival going for several stages in a row if you can and not die. Near the end of the game, I was surprised that there were some parts where I think I beat 3 or 4 stages in a row. Had I not done that, I probably would have spent a lot more time redoing the levels from, with base stats and shit like that. So, you still keep your upgrades, your permanent upgrades, but I wouldn't have had my weapon, my good weapons, and I wouldn't have had a lot of health. So, to start the stage out with. So just, some things to consider. And here's another shop. Let me see if there's something that I missed. Yeah, offense, defense, energy level. I think I covered all the upgrades, yeah. I had to see it again just to make sure. But always shoot at different parts of the air, because that's how you reveal shit. You'll see sparks sometimes, like I said, And you shoot those sparks more and you'll reveal whatever's hidden there. It's very important, especially in the last level, to do that because it can keep your weapon energy alive and your health, because the last level is like an 8-minute long level pretty much, and it's extremely difficult when you get to the boss section because you run out of energy and health, and there are parts where you can get energy and health back, but it's just such a long area. Your time runs out on your weapons and on your health very easily. So now I have the shitty spread gun, which is, you never really want to have just this. You want to get 2 of those maggots so that you get the second little maggot power up, and then you get the really good shotgun. But yeah, the POW pickups, you'll see when you see the power-ups, there's a power-up called POW, POW. Initially, I thought that powered up your weapon. It doesn't. What it does is it just gives you like 5 or 10 health back in your energy. It's almost useless. It's a very low amount of health. You should always, most of the time, try to go for the big health tank. Because like what happens is if you shoot the power-up a shitload of times, it stops changing into different power-ups. What happens is it just becomes the health power-up. And you can't shoot it and you can't change it anymore. So just shoot the shit out of a power-up, and eventually you can go and collect it when you get into that area, when the screen scrolls up high enough. Collect it and you'll get a bigger health power-up than just getting the POW power-up. So I would recommend not getting the POWs most of the time. Unless, you don't have enough time and you just have to grab it. But, if it's about to scroll off the screen or something. But aside from that, it's pretty useless. But yeah, so it's going to be hard to tell because the deaths are edited out. So it's going to be hard to tell when I was able to successfully beat several levels in a row and when I had to restart the levels from scratch. One way to tell, though, is if you look at my health from the previous stage and then you compare it to the next stage, you'll see if I come there with really high health, like over 100 health or something, then I probably brought it over from the previous stage because the game never gives you 100 health to start out with. Even when your health is maxed, you still don't, you might get 60 health back or something. Maybe they give you like around half of your maximum or something like that, but they don't give you a lot of health if you have to start the level over. So then you have to rely more on pickups and shit like that. You see that POW? That's what I was talking about. It's not worth getting. But those maggot things are good. And like I said, you want to collect more of the same weapon you're using, because that keeps your weapon energy up. That'll give you like 10 or 15 weapon energy. And of course, when you run out of weapon energy, on the bottom left, you go back to your base weapon. So you really don't want to lose your special weapons. Now, getting this dragonfly gives you 2 upgrade points. See, I revealed that. So now I have 2 points to put into whatever I want. I went with offense. I tried to max out offense about as fast as I could, because I figure it's always good to do more damage. I like to play offensively. And then my secondary thing that I upgraded and worked on was my defense and my energy, my health, the energy basically, because that'll upgrade your health. Now you get that star thing, whatever you want to call it. It's not really a star, and it'll give you all your health back. So look for those. The game doesn't get too crazy by this point, but it will. It won't disappoint later on. So yeah, in my 18 minutes of rambling, I think I covered pretty much just almost about everything, but I still have to, fill out the next 60 minutes or so of this tutorial. So I'll try to focus more on what's on screen now and try to break that down. For the large planes, it's good to take them out if you can, obviously. If you get up really close to the back of their ass, you can take them out fast, usually if you're using like either the base weapon, which is actually pretty strong when you fire it up at close range at an enemy, like point blank. Or you can use charge shots, but see, I don't really like charge shots that much, because it still takes a lot of them to take the enemy down. But yeah, remember that when you're using the shotgun weapon, those little circles that come out, see all those circles? Those are very weak. So that's why you want to have the upgrade to the shotgun weapon, so it has those 2 lasers in the front, because those are that's the part of the gun that does the most damage. The circle's mainly good for shooting down enemy bullets so you don't get hit. And they do damage some stuff lightly, but they'll take out weak planes and such, but they're not good for, if you have a choice, use your middle laser always, because those are going to take out the most, those are going to do the most damage, and get as close as you can to a turret when you have the shotgun equipped. You don't really want to do that if you don't have the shotgun weapon, because, see, these regular lasers, they look the same as the ones on the shotgun weapon, but they don't shoot down enemy bullets like the shotgun weapon does. So don't be deceived. Those lasers are not the same, even though it's the same graphic. It's not the same effect. One of them will shoot down enemy bullets and the other one will not. So, but they do a lot of damage, as long as you can safely get up close to something without getting shot yourself. A big part of this game, surviving in this game, is really being able to plan out what you need in the heat of the moment, and conserve things and plan things out. Like, sometimes your energy may not be that high, but you may be more in need of keeping your shotgun weapon so you can shoot down bullets. Because even if your energy goes to 0, you don't die. It just means that if you get hit one time, you'll be dead. But you're not going to be dead just from being at 0. So sometimes it's more beneficial to keep your weapon energy up instead of your health, because you really need it sometimes to survive some bosses and some brutal sections. So, you gotta base it on what's coming up, and you'll just learn by playing the game. But sometimes it's not best to try to max out your, or try to get your health filled up. Sometimes it's better to go with the weapon. If you can do both, sometimes that's good too, but it depends what you have available in the level. Each level has different power-ups available in different places. So it's different. Those are health, like I was saying, that big energy tank. Also keep in mind, it's important to know which ships you actually have to kill to beat the level. See, I didn't have to kill that little tiny ship that I just passed. And sometimes there's multiple ships, and sometimes you may only have to kill one to beat the level. One main boss type of ship. And when you don't have the shotgun like this, then you got to be careful with your shots. You just want to weave out and get as close as you can, but don't get shot, obviously. It's dangerous to get too close. But you'll get better at it, and you'll get used to what kind of risks you can take as you play the game more. The lightning is very weird, the lightning special move. I still haven't figured out exactly how it works. I believe if you have 0 health and you haven't used it at all for the whole stage, you'll get 3 uses of the special weapon, even at 0 energy, with no weapon energy. I think that's how it works, but I don't understand. There's other things I don't understand about it. I know when you use it, it drains your health. That I know, but sometimes, like, I had weapon energy and regular energy, and I still couldn't use the move, it seems. So I'm confused to how many uses you get with it. And I know if you have 0 energy, you'll do this thing where your plane does a loop in the air and then does the lightning. It's a little slower, and than just when the lightning comes out right away. But I mean, I noticed that, but I still don't understand exactly how it works. But if anyone figures it out, let me know. But I still don't really understand it. But basically, you should try to conserve your special weapons until you really need them. You should try to save them for main boss fights. Now, early on, you're only going to be fighting like one boss in a level. And then I think they start to introduce, some levels where there's a few more bosses. There's not many where there's multiple bosses, I don't think. But the final stage, you have to kill like 7 bosses pretty much. Though, I mean, 2 of them are not really bosses. They're kind of side by side. And you just have to kind of dodge through them. And you don't have to kill them. You just have to survive. You only have to kill one ship, really. But you're going to want to kill them, or kill most of them, because otherwise you're going to be getting shot at the whole time by tons of guns. And you won't have much room on the screen to move. So sometimes it's best to kill them just to get them out of your way. But you'll see that later. A lot of this is going to be, pretty similar. A lot of the game is pretty similar, a lot of the stages. There's only a few different types of bosses, and a lot of it is repeated. It's a pretty challenging game, even not taking the final level into consideration. But, I thought it was pretty fucking hard if you count the final level, obviously, because you need to beat the final level. That's what made the game pretty fucking hard for me. I struggled with the final level. Though, like I said, I think I would have done it a lot faster had I realized that I could get in real close with the shotgun weapon and concentrate my fire on the turrets, without worrying about getting shot down. So, as soon as I realized that, I beat the level very quickly. So, sometimes it's small things that you don't realize that make all the difference in beating a game. So that's why I think these tutorials can be very useful, because there's stuff that you're not going to notice when watching videos. You're not necessarily going to pick up on how important certain things are to do. So I think after watching this, you should have a good idea. Or, of course, just skip to the part that you're stuck on, The final stage is probably going to be a sticking point for a lot of people, though I read a lot of people said they struggled to get very far in this game at all. But I didn't have too much trouble with it until I got to that final stage. I mean, it took me several hours to get to the final stage. It's not like I just blazed through the game, but, for an NES game, that's pretty standard. I mean, it wasn't that much of a standout difficulty. But yeah, that final stage definitely was. Here you just basically have to shoot all the guns. Make sure you kill them all. And, don't let any of the guns go off screen, because the ship does not come back up. So if the guns go below, the screen, they won't come back up. So you won't have a chance to kill the ship. You'll probably just lose. Because if you don't kill all the guns, I believe you lose the level. Have to start it over. So, you want to, if you have to, use your special weapons to freeze the ship in place so you can shoot it and kill it. I mean, I rarely had ships escape, but it can happen, so you got to be careful. As I said, I'm also using a turbo controller, but if you don't have one, you can easily play this on an emulator and just use the... most emulators have a turbo function that you can set to one of the buttons. So I'd recommend using that. Or if you want, you could just mash the shit out of the button the whole time you're playing. That is an option if you are opposed to that type of thing for whatever reason. You can always do that. Though there was rapid fire controls that existed on the original NES as well. So, it just comes down to what you consider legit. But for me, I have no problem with rapid controllers. Even though, in some games they do give an advantage because it'll actually fire at a higher fire rate than the game will let you do by mashing the button. So sometimes there is that, obviously. But I rarely ever find it to make that much of a difference in a game. It does help a bit, but I mean, one of the main things is that you don't tire out your thumbs mashing a button for hours, especially if you're dying on a level repeatedly. But yeah, see, now ships are starting to come out a lot more from the bottom of the screen, which is very dangerous. And that really requires you to be moving all the time. Of course, it's best to have that shotgun weapon so you can take out points from the sides very easily and they can't get to you. So that's another reason I recommend using that weapon. And, yeah, it's a Capcom game, so it actually has a lot in common with Gunsmoke on the NES. Gunsmoke did that shit too, where enemies just come up right on your ass at the bottom of the screen, which is kind of shitty in Gunsmoke because you can't shoot behind you. And it's also kind of shitty in this too because, obviously you can't shoot behind you, but, at least you can shoot to the sides decently, as you can in Gunsmoke, but, it can still be kind of shitty because there's not much you can do about it, aside from just, get the fuck out of the way. But you can't rest on the bottom of the screen because they'll spawn right on top of you, pretty much. But Gunsmoke for the NES is a joke compared to the arcade version of the game, which I have a playthrough up on the channel, and I'm about halfway through that, and that's fucking brutal. I plan to beat it one day, but it's going to be a little by little. I haven't worked on it in a while. I should get back on it and soon start working on it again, for sure. This was a satisfying game to beat, though. I mean, it wasn't... it was pretty challenging, but, after like I said, the last level was brutal, so after I beat that, it was a satisfying game to put to sleep and add to the kill list. I highly recommend the game if you like shooters and you want a decent challenge. I wouldn't recommend it for more less experienced players and such. It would probably just be frustrating, I would imagine. I mean, it was frustrating for me, and I've beaten a shitload of games. But part of it was my own stupidity and stubbornness of not experimenting more with the shotgun. I'm pretty fucking stubborn. and I'll just grind out the same inefficient methods, sometimes for a very long time. I am a lot more adaptable than I used to be, which is good. And I've been able to beat games a lot faster as a result, which has helped me tremendously. But I still get in those stubborn modes where I'm just going to continue with the same method until it goes through. But then I started checking videos more, and I noticed how much more damage could be done by firing at like point blank range on turrets with the shotgun weapon. Or with just about any weapon, really, aside from the unupgraded shotgun, which is just a shitty weapon. But except, like I said, the shotgun has the benefit of protecting you from getting shot when you're like point blank up to a turret. Because otherwise you'll get shot and you won't be able to move because you'll be too close to the turret. But the shotgun assures pretty much that the bullets can't get through, so you'll be doing damage to the turret real fast, kill it, and it can't shoot you pretty much. So that's really something to exploit in this game. And I think it'll save you a lot of time on that final stage. Yeah, so as usual, just get what you need. If you need energy, collect that. If you need weapon energy, collect that. You always want to look at what you got, where your energy is at and what's coming up and all that, and try to plan ahead. I didn't really have to try to kind of plan and budget my resources until like the final level, really. That was where I really, that was the level that I really I had to really pay attention to, where my weapon energy was, where my health was. And, I had to know where the hidden health and weapon energy was coming up at, pretty much. I ended up having a pretty good idea of where they come up. I never really memorized it completely, but I had a pretty good idea. Yeah, so now we're just dealing with another ship here. So it's always good to take out those small guns as quickly as possible and then deal with the big ones, because the small ones shoot so many bullets on the screen and they're very fast to kill. So it's good to get rid of them. And if there is a bunch of those, if you can line up a bunch of those small guns, you can use your charge shots as well and fire one charge shot, line it up, and I believe it'll take out all the small guns in its path. So the charge shot can actually be good for that. You may want to use it for that. But I just, for me personally, I preferred using the rapid fire with just the regular guns that I use. But like I said, I'm fucking stubborn. There's people that are a lot more flexible than I am. So, don't be afraid to experiment just because you see me doing something. Try out the different, weapons and stuff. But I did try out the other special weapons, but I just didn't find them to be too useful. There's a very powerful, like, double laser, which, it seems great for damaging bosses heavily and quickly, but it doesn't do you much good if you can't shoot down enemy bullets and you're getting shot the whole time by enemy bullets because you can't take a ton of hits. So for me, it wasn't worth the balance of I felt that was unbalanced to have a weapon that was super powerful, but I had a lot of bullets on screen coming right on my fucking ass, because enemies spawn right on your ass and they'll shoot you immediately. So if you don't have a way to shoot those bullets down with the shotgun weapon, then, you can get a pretty bad situation. So I'd say use those weapons at your own risk. And you don't get the double laser until you fully upgrade the special weapon stat. That'll unlock the last weapon. Honestly, I would recommend not even upgrading the special weapon stat at all, and just putting all your points first into the other main things I mentioned, like defense, offensive type of things, because as well as the weapon time limit, stuff like that, because upgrading your special weapon does nothing except it means it takes longer for the weapon to appear when you're shooting the power-ups to try to reveal the weapon you want. It just means that it's going to take longer to get the shotgun weapon or get the weapon you want. You're going to have to cycle through more shit if you miss the weapon you want, because it goes through like two full cycles before it just stops and goes to like just an energy pickup, a health pickup. See, like that. So really, I would say if I were to play this game again, I wouldn't put any points into the special weapon stat at all. Not even on the last level, because I ended up using the shotgun in the last level. But see, I didn't know the game when I was playing this. But if I was going to redo it, I wouldn't even put points into the special weapon stat. I would just upgrade the more important shit. So take that advice for what it is. You can probably be more powerful than I was earlier on by, investing in those stats instead of not worrying about the special weapon stat. The special weapon stat was actually a hindrance for me when I upgraded it. Like I said, because it meant I had to cycle through more bullshit to get the weapons that I wanted. So, or, even to get health and things like that from the power-up. So, I recommend just leaving it alone and not upgrading it at all. Now that I think about it. Because I never had a use for the other weapons that I can think of. There's really no reason. So yeah, here I started with some good energy, and I think the reason for that is because I probably carried it over from the previous stage and didn't die. So like I said, whenever you can do that, obviously you're not going to try to die. So it's not a great tip, but it is useful to know that. Because you may think there's no benefit, and you can just commit suicide at the beginning of the stage and start with whatever the base that the game gives you when you start a level. But it's really not worth doing that. It's worth trying to carry over your stats. So it's also worth not trying to play sloppy at the end of the level just to beat it. Because, you would be better off carrying over more energy, more weapon, etc. Yeah, and if you pay attention to where I'm shooting and where the sparks appear on the screen, you'll be able to reveal all those hidden items that I revealed, because they never change spaces. So once you find them, they're always going to be at that part of the level. That applies to everything that you reveal, the shop type of area, all that shit. So yeah, keep that in mind. See that? That's always going to be there. So, and that's full health. So always always keep a mindful eye for that. I don't even know if I upgraded it. No, I think I did. I don't think it lets you leave without upgrading something. I think I went for the time limit, but I don't know. I was doing the upgrades really fast because I had rapid fire, so I just held the shit down, and I was out of the menu really fast. So, you see, now these bullets are fucking annoying. See these ones that linger on screen? They leave a white circle on the screen. Those are fucking annoying because they leave these explosions that linger for a moment. And if you're not aware of that, you'll drive right into it and you'll take massive fucking damage. So keep that in mind. I wasn't really that mindful of those early in the game. But I learned the hard way eventually. But, there's regular bullets and then there's those explosions that linger on the screen for about half a second. So, just be wary of it. Use your special weapons if you need to take out these guns because, you do not want to let the ship escape unless you want to do the level over again. But, Actually, I don't think you even have to destroy that ship. So, never mind what I said. But, this is probably the main boss of the level. So, you start fighting multiple ships in the levels. But, yeah. So, you could ignore that last ship and just let it leave if you wanted to. You don't have to kill it. As long as you can dodge the shit, you can let the ships leave. Unless it's the key ship that the game wants you to beat. I think each level only has one ship that you have to beat. That's required. And I believe that ship is usually the final ship that shows up in the level. Now, of course, you're not going to know which ship is the final ship unless you already played the level or watched the video to see where the level ends. Because otherwise, you're not really going to know. So, in the moment, it's probably not going to be very useful unless you check the video to see how long the level is. Also, when you do destroy a ship, get the fuck away from the ship because it explodes and there's some debris that comes out. If that debris hits you, I think it's an instant death and you have to start the level over as well. So, just stay away from the ship after you kill it. I don't know if I ever died from that, but I don't think I ever did. But still, if you don't know that, you might get sloppy and just hang out on top of the ship and just die. So, a little something to keep in mind. But, yeah, what else? Yeah, this is a great game, though. I think this is an awesome game. If you like this, check out Gunsmoke for the NES. It's another challenging but awesome Capcom game. It's similar to this in a lot of ways, but I like Gunsmoke a lot more. But if you like this, you probably love Gunsmoke. So check it out. And if you really want to punish yourself, then check out Gunsmoke for the arcade. But that's only if you really want to get fucking pissed off. It's an awesome game, just like the NES one. It's even better than the NES one in a lot of ways. But, except for the fact that it's pretty much overly fucking difficult. Especially since, it's set to normal, the dip switch, when you load it up on MAME, and it's anything but fucking normal. It's fucking brutal. It's one of the hardest 2D games I ever played. So, and like I said, I've played through a lot of them. So, it's pretty disgustingly dense and difficult. But it's an awesome game. So, keep that in mind, but don't get too fucking stressed out over it, because it's not a regular difficulty kind of game. I mean, it makes just about, most NES games look like a joke, you know what I mean? But you do get infinite continues, so that's the one saving grace. These things here are pretty much just optional, but, you may want to kill them so that they leave you the fuck alone. If you're having trouble dodging them. It is hard when you're sandwiched in between two ships shooting at you, so it's good to take out at least one of them, if you can. For most of this game, I used an ASCII pad, a Super Nintendo controller on the emulation PC. But then on the final level, I actually used my Hori RAV4 joystick, which I used for Gunsmoke Arcade, and it worked awesome for this game. It works awesome for shooters. I mean, I feel like I get really precise movement. And I was always someone who always used the D-pad, but the stick is awesome. So I used that, and that's what I ended up beating the game with. So I did the best with that controller. As you can see, a lot of the bosses are recycled. So it's pretty much the same shit again and again. But yeah, that beats stage 13. About halfway through the game at this point. And the levels, of course, do get harder. I believe on level 15, the next level, there's a big issue with planes coming right up your ass and just spawning right on you, like I was mentioning earlier. And that becomes a big problem from stage 15 and up, from what I remember. So yeah, it makes it so you really have to play dynamically and really adjust to what's happening on screen. Which in some ways is cool, but it's also kind of cheap. You don't have enemies that spawn right on the bottom of the screen where you can't see them. But it does force you to constantly move, and a lot of times be in the middle of the screen. So yeah, if you shoot that cloud, you'll reveal another shop here in this level. You should have all your defense and energy type of stuff upgraded by this point. Try to get that shotgun as soon as you can. See, this is another weapon. It looks like it would be better than a shotgun because it's all powerful, shots instead of having those weak little circles that come out on the side with the shotgun. And it's good in that sense, but it's not worth the trade-off, as I said, with these weapons. Because look, you see all those bullets hitting me now? Because now I can't shoot those bullets that come out of the planes, and I can't shoot the planes that rush into me. I can shoot on my side a little bit, but I can't shoot down bullets, so that's a huge problem. I guess, you can still take out some of the planes and stuff, but the bullets are the biggest threat. If a plane hits you, it might take like 1 health. But if a little fucking bullet hits you, it takes like, maybe 20 health or something. It's ridiculous. Very unbalanced, but that's just the way the game works. So, I would not recommend getting this weapon. At this point, I don't know if I was familiar with, what weapons would be the best, because I wasn't really heavily tested by this point in the game as I was on the final level. So I may have been experimenting with this weapon, or more than likely, I probably got this weapon by accident, because I was using a shotgun throughout most of the game. I had seen some videos prior to even starting the game and working on it. Yeah, so these planes, same as the first time you fought these guys. I think we may have fought these already a few times in this video, but I can't remember. But all you have to do is shoot at one of the wings. Don't worry about the center of the plane. Just shoot one of the wings. Now, see, if I had the shotgun weapon, I wouldn't even have to worry about those bullets spraying out from those turret guns. But since I got this weapon, it doesn't help. But all you got to do is shoot one of the wings. Eventually, the whole thing will explode. And initially, I thought you had to shoot each engine directly. So I was doing some dangerous maneuvering. But that's all you got to do. Very easy. It's pretty much the same thing you already fought. I think you fight that within the first 3 levels or so. So it's the same shit. So yeah, stage 15. I believe this is where enemies start coming up and spawning right on your ass, pretty much, if you're down at the bottom of the screen. So in this level, you're definitely going to learn not to hang out at the bottom of the screen. You know. That's why you see I have a little spacing between me and the bottom of the screen by this point, instead of just hanging out all the way on the bottom. I haven't been doing that as much because, you know, I got used to enemies coming out. Now, of course, you can memorize when the enemies and where the enemies are going to spawn, and then you can stay at the bottom of the screen if you know when to be there and when not to be. But most likely, you won't have it memorized to that extent. I don't think I even had it memorized that well when I beat it, but I just knew that the bottom is very dangerous, and I just played very adaptively. You know, adapting to what was on screen and trying to flow with it. You got to get in that zone with this game. It is hard though because it tries to push the Nintendo hardware way beyond its limit with the amount of sprites and bullets. It's like it's trying to be the arcade game with the insane density of bullets and enemies on a much weaker system. So because of that, you have a lot of disappearing bullets and invisible enemies and shit like that, as usual. Now, a lot of times if you shoot where one of those ships are, in the ocean or clouds and stuff like that, sometimes those are the areas where shops are, so those are areas to look. I think there's one right here that I just missed. I saw it on the screen, but I missed it. It was probably in that ship. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was on that ship on the left side of the screen right before it goes to this next scene. So if you want the shop, I think that's where it was, if I remember right. It was like you shoot one of those little ships on the left side of the screen. By ship, I mean those tiny little aircraft carriers that are supposed to be way below you. They're like part of the background. Here, I think most of these you can just shoot them as you like. Just try to make it clear enough so that you can get through and survive. That's the main thing. I don't think any of these are the actual boss. So I think you can ignore them. Aside from, of course, you need to be aware of the bullets. Sometimes it's good if a lot of enemies are firing at once because it creates a shitload of slowdown because the system can't handle it, and it gives you a lot of time to react. So sometimes it actually helps if you're firing and the enemies are firing to overload the game a little bit. And you'll see that at points. But there's a lot of slowdown in this game because, like I said, it does push the system way beyond the amount of sprites that it's probably supposed to handle. But yeah, this is similar to any other boss you've fought. I mean, like I said, I recommend taking out the smallest guns first most of the time. And then make small movements left to right to dodge the lasers from the turrets if you need to. They didn't really get much of a chance to shoot at me that time, though. The closer you can get to them, the more firepower you can concentrate in on them and kill them faster, as I've been mentioning. And that's going to be a hugely important tip for the final level. Pretty fucking long game for a NES shooter. I mean, coming in at around an hour and 20-something minutes. It's pretty fucking long. But I'm sure the reason they were able to do that was because they recycle the bosses, they recycle the backgrounds. I mean, this game probably could have been super fucking long if they wanted it to be. But it's definitely long enough, Could have been about half the length and it would have been fine, but I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with the game, and it was a nice little challenge. And, of course, the end was very challenging. And like I said, that took me way longer than it should have. But hopefully I'll be able to save you some time when you watch my playthrough. The final level, I'll probably timestamp the final level in the description of the video. But, yeah, hopefully when you see how I do it and I explain... I'll reiterate again. It's pretty much things that I've already said, but it depends. The reason I restate a lot of things is because, one, the video's an hour and 20 minutes, and I'm going to run out of fucking things to say. And two, I try to be mindful of people who don't want to sit down and watch the entire fucking video. People might want to skip ahead to the parts that they're stuck on. So that's why I'll reiterate a lot of the same things I've already said again and again. And I figure adding some commentary also can make it a little entertaining for people to watch the video. But I don't like to talk about, when I'm doing these commentaries, I don't like to start rambling about other things that are not related to the game, unless I've already covered all the basics. But I try to keep it focused on the game. So that's why there's a lot of redundancy in my tutorials. But I mean, it's good. I think it drives the point home. If you missed it the first time, at least you'll be like, well, maybe this is important because I mentioned it a few times. But you'll have more than enough information if you sit through this shit. I also always post up the original version without the commentary. It's the same video, but it's just the deaths are still edited out, but it's just the sound of the game. So I linger too much around those explosions, and look how much fucking health I lost by I don't know why I did that, but that was really reckless. I guess I thought that those explosions were going to go away immediately like the bullets do, you know what I mean? I think it took me a while to realize that some of the explosions stay on the screen and drain your health. And I explained that earlier, and definitely something worth reiterating, because I can really kill you without you realizing. You're like, how the fuck did I die? And then if you watch the video back, you're like, that's how I fucking died, because those explosions just linger there for half a second, which is long enough to drain your health. So yeah, this boss, I think this is the final boss, but not now, it isn't. But this is the same, this is like the same final boss that you're going to fight. This is going to be the same boss you fight when you beat the game. The difference is you're going to have you're going to have to fight a ton of other shit before it. You're probably not going to have any special weapons or anything. Or maybe you will. Maybe you'll have more shit than I initially had, because I was getting there to the final boss with nothing. And when I did beat it, I had a few special weapons that I could unleash, and that gave me enough time to shoot down all the guns. But like I said, I had a better technique that I already explained, and I'll go into again. I could have saved myself a lot of fucking time if I would have did that. I mean, it's really simple. Yeah, so it says something about fucking tubing. I don't know what the fuck they were talking about, but, I don't pay attention to stories in games. I'm all about the gameplay. That's why you see in a lot of my videos, I skip through a lot of scenes and stuff. I mean, I figure there's plenty of videos out there that people can watch that show all the cutscenes and all the story and all that shit. Sometimes I even fast forward through the endings. Usually I'll fast forward through ending credits on an old game using the fast forward feature on the emulator. Because I just can't be fucking bothered. And then, if I record for too long, the recording can crash. So I'm kind of anxious when I beat a game and I'm recording, because I want to make sure the recording went through. So I'm kind of stressed out about that. And have to sit through, 10 minutes of credits or 5 minutes of credits before ending the recording just agitates me. Of course, I'm not interested in story to begin with. But of course, if people requested it and really wanted to see that in my videos, I would make exceptions. But my videos right now get very, very few views, and there's only been a few requests on the channel so far. So, and like I said, there's plenty of videos that this is not an obscure game. So there's plenty of videos showing the story and all that shit. But yeah, not much to say. I mean, I was fucking talking fast in the beginning of this video, and I pretty much covered just about everything I could think of. All the basics. I'm trying to think if there's anything I missed, and I just can't think of anything, so I think that shit is fucking covered. Yeah, tonight I'm going to try to pick up Sekiro Shadows Die Twice for Xbox One. So I should have some footage of that up soon. I'm actually excited about that one because I love Dark Souls and Bloodborne, so it's made by those creators. And it's actually, they changed the style up quite a bit for this one, so I'm interested to see how the combat system is. I'm still working on my Devil May Cry 5 playthroughs. I'm partially through the hard mode, Son of Sparta, but I'm probably going to go through Dante Must Die, because I like the game a lot. Even though I'm not a style player, I just kind of just play games to beat them. Even in God of War, the hardest mode, and God Hand on Hard and all that shit, I just go, I'm just looking to win. I don't care about how it looks. I'll do exploitative shit all day long, if I can. For me, it's all about that end result. But I'm still really enjoying Devil May Cry 5. The combat's a lot of fun, and I try to, since it's so easy so far, even on hard, I try to do stylish stuff, because it's otherwise the game is a little bit mundane and just hack and slash with the same move again and again because the enemies take a lot of hits. And the combat is pretty fucking easy. I mean, the enemies rarely hit me. But we'll see on Dante Must Die. That'll be interesting. If the game is challenging on Dante Must Die and I play decently enough, I may do a commentary tutorial on it. But, if I'm just playing sloppily and using all those gold continue orbs and just dying like crazy and just grinding through the game with gold orbs, then I don't think I'm going to make it into a tutorial. Right? Because then I'm not explaining anything that that anybody can't just do. You know what I mean? I don't know if I don't know how refined it's going to be. It's probably not going to be. It may not be that hard for me, but it may. I don't know yet until I play it. And I don't really want to spend a shitload of time on that mode because I'm more into the combat of like Ninja Gaiden Black or God Hand, the new God of War. Like those are the kind of, Bayonet. I like all that kind of shit. I'm not into as much into the stylish. DMC is focused around, stylish and enemies that are usually not that aggressive and not that difficult. Kind of like they're just there for you to beat the shit out of, But we'll see how it is on that mode. I'm definitely going to post up the playthrough, but we'll see if I add commentary for that one. Of course, if people really want to see it, I may then refine my gameplay more and actually try to learn how to play a DMC game well. I mean, I've beaten a bunch of them, but I just never refined it. I think I've beaten all of them except the second one, which I never... I barely played the second one. I didn't own it. And it seemed like shit. Yeah, as usual, you shoot those red planes. When you shoot all of them, you get your power-ups. So make sure you try to kill them all and get whatever you need. It's never really like one thing to focus on. It really depends on the level. As far as what power-ups you want. I mean, I always recommend getting this shotgun by collecting the 2 maggot icons. But, that's... Make sure you remember where that thing was I just shot, because that's full health. And here's something else here. I don't know what that thing does. I think that gave me my weapon power back to max. But, yeah, it varies depending on, most of the time, if your weapon energy is low, you want to get that if you already have like a shotgun or something so you can maintain it. Because otherwise it'll just go back to your base weapon. When you have only the base weapon, there's no point to collect weapon energy power-ups because it doesn't do anything. It only, you can only store weapon energy if you have a special weapon already equipped. So, don't worry about it if you lost your weapon, and don't worry about getting the weapon energy. Focus on getting health or trying to get your weapon back. You're probably going to want to try to get the weapon back, the shotgun weapon. These levels are so fucking similar, I don't even remember what the bosses are in any of the levels except for the last level. Because I played that so many fucking times. That took me hours. Yeah, so now we got another fucking plane. So... Same shit you did before, and you see, as with the shotgun, it just shoots the bullets as they come out. So as long as you stay a little bit to the right of the plane, you pretty much barely have to worry about taking any damage. I mean, I don't even think I get hit. And, I'm playing pretty close in to the bullets, so, yeah, not a big deal. Another fucking plane to end the level. Very easy. I think these were levels that I beat in a row without dying, because they were some of these levels were pretty fucking easy. Especially for late levels in the game. But like I said, the real test is level 24, the final level. That'll probably test your patience. You kind of feel like you're on a roll and you're going to beat the game and everything's going well, and then you get to the last level, and I would say it's definitely somewhat of a roadblock. But I think my tips are going to help people who haven't gotten there yet, or who are stuck on that level to complete the game. I try to break everything down as much as I can in detail. Occasionally I do miss things, and then I'm like, shit, I should have mentioned something, but I think I covered everything so far. There's probably a way that I can add, like, annotations or some shit on the video itself where it'll like come up, it'll show up a little text bubble or some shit and it'll explain something I forgot to mention, but I still don't even know how to do that. I'm pretty fucking basic. I do know how to like edit out deaths and add commentary and shit like that, but I'm still at a very basic editing level. Like this video, I had to split it in half and then do commentary separately on each half and then combine both halves. Because if I record the commentary for an hour and 23 minutes straight for the whole video, there's a very good chance that the recording will just crash and it'll all be lost. So I can't record over an hour unless I want to take a huge risk. So I pretty much divided up into like 40-minute chunks or something like that. Like 43-minute chunks. But yeah, beyond that, I'm like, I really need to get better at editing and stuff to make better videos in the future. But for playthroughs, I really don't need a lot of editing skill for these types of things. This is pretty much just raw video, gameplay, and just details. You know what I mean? It's all it's really meant to be. Some people may find it a little entertaining because it kind of keeps you company while you're checking out the video of the game. So some people like to watch. I like to watch playthroughs with commentary. I think they're fucking cool. But you don't see a lot of tutorial videos like the ones I'm making. I mean, Corn Shack, he's one of the only ones I see that puts them out. Actual, tutorials on older games to beat them. I mean, I know there's a few of them for the newer games, like the God of War, the hardest mode. I did one on the hardest mode in God of War, the new God of War. But I think that's one of the only new games I did commentary on, hard modes. But I don't see a lot of these old games with commentary playthroughs aside from Corn Shack's channel, which I recommend checking out. He has great tutorials on these old games. But I'm going to continue to put out a lot of them, so I think they'll help people who want to beat specific games. I play through, from extremely hard games to extremely easy games. Now, if the game is too easy, I usually won't do a tutorial on it because I feel like it's just, it wouldn't be anything but a little bit of vocal entertainment for people who want a little company while they're watching. But, it wouldn't provide any real insight on the game or anything. So I kind of use my discretion with which videos I spend time to edit and put the tutorials in. I mean, some games I don't even edit out deaths because it's just too tedious to edit out the deaths. And, some games just weren't that difficult to where it's worth it. And they're not going to get a lot of views. Some games just don't get viewed at all. So, I mean, a lot of stuff doesn't at this point. But, and I don't just do it for views or anything like that because I'm not even monetizing a channel right now. But, I mean, I like watching my tutorial videos that I make because it's cool to reflect back on what I was thinking, my tactics and all that when I was playing the game. So it entertains me as well to revisit them. But I recently beat Atomic Runner for arcade. Great game for the arcade on MAME emulator. And I ended up posting a full raw video, like 2 hours or something, of just me dying and learning the game and practicing and learning parts. And I just, posted it as one raw video just to show the process because I figured that game would be a bitch to edit because a lot of the checkpoints in the level look the same as the rest of the level. So it's like, it's really hard to identify sometimes where the checkpoints are. And when you edit it out, enemies disappear in the edit because it's hard to cut it without. You can't make it exact with a game like that. So it wouldn't have been, it would have been a messy edit. So I was like, it ain't even worth the tedium to go through and edit that for such a short game. But it was a hard game. I mean, but 2 hours isn't extreme or anything, but it's a short game. So for a 20-minute game, 2 hours is pretty dense and difficult. But yeah, you see the screen's getting pretty wild at this point in the game. It's getting pretty dense. So things have definitely been stepping up. And the game gets pretty fucking hard, It's just kind of a sign of what's to come, for the final level. But I think the semi-final level 23, is pretty hard too. But the final level that comes after that is like a much longer version of that. And it's very hard. I think it's about 8 minutes. The final level is about 8 minutes long, and you can die very quickly. So you do not get a password for the final level that the game gives you anyway. You can find passwords on GameFAQs, but the game doesn't give you one. So, but you do still have unlimited continue, so you can just keep continuing on the last level. But if you're playing on an actual console, then if you shut the system off, you'll have to start from level 23 again, which is not that big of a deal, but it's just a little bit of an unnecessary inconvenience that sometimes these old games like to do. It's pretty much just there to annoy you, I think, but it's not really going to cause you any real problems. Because once you get to the last level, you could leave the system on all day and just keep plugging away at it and putting hours in on it if you want. But hopefully it won't take you a lot of hours to beat that final level, like it did for me. Because, I think I'll be able to help with that. I did see videos of people beating the final level, but of course there was no commentary, so it's easy to miss certain things. But I think I tapped into the main aspects of it. So yeah, get that little cow and get some health and, whatever you need. I think I carried over my health from the previous level. I think I was on like a 3 or 4 level streak where I didn't die for 3 or 4 levels. And that allowed me to be able to carry over like pretty much most of my health to the next stage and weapons and shit like that. Huge help to do that. Otherwise, these levels may have taken me longer, for sure. But I'm sure I would have, I don't think they would have taken me super long because, like I said, the last level is way harder than any of these levels. So, But it's completely beatable. And, yeah, I think I'll be able to break down the last level very well because I had to play it so much. So I know that level pretty fucking well. Yeah, get that, make sure you get that full life power up. There's a shop there, shoot that, get that. And like I said, I wouldn't have upgraded my special weapon, but I didn't know what was good to upgrade at that time. I recommend not upgrading the one that says like special weapon, that stat, because you're only going to need the shotgun weapon. I mean, I've experimented with other weapons and just wasn't worth it to me, And of course, like I said, if you upgrade the special weapon, it just means it's more bullshit you have to cycle through, more weapons you have to cycle through in shooting those power-ups to get to what you want. So, just a waste. So once you go in the upgrade screen, there's no way to exit without upgrading something. So don't even enter it if you have everything else upgraded. Because, like I said, there's no point in upgrading that special weapon. It's just a problematic thing to upgrade. Now, see, that ship escaped because I didn't kill the last gun. But it didn't matter because that's not the one you have to kill. So don't worry about that first one. If you can dodge it, just dodge it. But you'll probably want to, shoot out a lot of the guns just to make it easier for yourself. Because sometimes the ships will corner you. And of course, you can escape by using your special weapon and just moving the fuck out of the way. You can fly and like touch the actual guns. I don't believe you get hurt for touching the guns on this ship with your aircraft because you're supposed to be elevated above it. So I don't think it'll hurt you, but if you're right on top of the thing, you'll easily get, shot especially if you don't have the shotgun weapon. So don't try to do that really unless you have like the shotgun weapon. So yeah, now there's only there's only 3 more missions left, but the last level should really be like 2 missions because it's so long. But yeah, here I think I carried my my energy over, so I must have survived that and then beat this level as well without dying. Makes things a lot easier if you can do that. So yeah, you can see how dense everything gets on some of these parts and how shit is disappearing all over the fucking place. That makes it a lot harder. If you want a much more stable version of the game, play the arcade version of this on MAME. 1943 for MAME. The last level also seems a lot easier in that version than this. I only played it briefly. I just tried it briefly out of curiosity, and I may work on it and do a playthrough of that one as well. But I didn't play it enough to see if it had unlimited continues or exactly how it works. I did notice that when you die, you do start back right where you died, which is very much unlike the NES one. But some of those old arcade games, it may only let you do that a few times before it sends you back to the beginning of the game. So I don't, I don't know if it's just going to be unlimited continues the whole time. It's pretty doubtful for that kind of game. But yeah, I mean, like, you don't have to really worry about killing the larger planes, but just try to weave through them if you can and take care of the smaller things. And if you have that shotgun, use that to take out all the bullets and shit so you don't get shot. Protects you from the sides, especially. Guys trying to, like, kamikaze and drive into you. Like I said, if the small planes, at least, if they drive into you, they don't hurt you very much at all. Like, maybe one piece of health. Very little. But bullets, I don't know about if the large planes touch you. They may actually hurt you a lot, but I don't remember. I wasn't really paying real close attention to that. I was, of course I was trying not to hit into them, so I didn't really test it. But I have crashed into them plenty of times. No, I think I got this gun by accident. Which, it's a powerful gun, don't get me wrong. It will take out guns fast. But it's so fucking skinny, and you have no coverage on the sides. So, now you will have to dodge every bullet that appears because you can't shoot down bullets with that. So that's why I don't recommend any of the other weapons. Like I said, the shotgun is the only weapon that can shoot down bullets. And it shoots down all the bullets, I think, as far as I can tell. I don't think there's any bullets that it doesn't destroy. So, you really don't have to, when you have that, you don't really have to worry about bullets that are coming down at you or to your sides. You still have to worry about guys coming up from behind you and fucking you up and dropping bullets right on your ass and killing you. And of course, explosions that linger. If if explosions ever end up lingering, you can very easily run into those. Okay, yeah, and that was the boss ship, I think, for this level. As usual, never stay on top of the ship because the debris will kill you instantly, I think. So, though I don't think I ever actually did that. So yeah. Now this is the semi-final stage, and from what I remember, I think this was the hardest stage aside from the final stage, which is much, much harder than this. But so I'm not going to be able to ease any fears, But once that level starts up, I'll give a good breakdown of it. Like I said, I have a good idea of what tips to give. It's pretty much more of the same shit. It just gets denser and crazier, you know what I mean? But it's a lot of the same kind of shit. I shouldn't have even upgraded my special weapon, like I said, but at this point I didn't really, I was thinking maybe some of those special weapons might actually be good to use. But that was before I tested them all, so I still stand by using a shotgun for the entire game. And by shotgun, I mean this maggot weapon, these little maggot pickups that you get. They give you this thing. The weapon that you see me firing. Always remember that the circles that come out of the sides are very, very weak, but they destroy bullets and single, small planes. It's that middle fire with those little lasers coming out of the middle of your ship that you want to use to do your main damage. For like the bigger ships and, of course, the turrets and things on the bosses. This level may have a few bosses, but I don't remember. Yeah, I think it does. I think there's like several bosses in this level. But, I found it way easier than the next level. But yeah, if you have your shotgun like you should, you'll be able to just shoot out all the bullets. And you remember how these planes are. Just shoot the bullets with your shotgun and focus your fire on one of the wings. And that's it for that. Very easy. You shouldn't even be using your special weapons unless you need to. The one, the special, like lightning bombs, on the A button. You shouldn't use those at all unless you really need to. Because they drain your health. And when you drain your energy, you're not going to have as much energy going into the next level as well, which could be bad. But if you're having trouble with a level, don't worry about that. Just waste your bombs just so you can beat the level. But just make sure you know when the level is going to end because you may waste a bunch of bombs, and then, you know, there may be several bosses left, so be aware. So yeah, we fight 2 planes here, and I think maybe there's an aircraft carrier at the end of the stage, but I'm not sure. Yeah. Oh, maybe another plane. Maybe it's all planes. This level really didn't give me much trouble. I may have even beaten this my first time getting to it, because I think I was on a streak, but I don't remember. This plane is harder because by this point I didn't have any weapon energy, so I had to use the regular gun. So that makes it harder because then you got to really dodge those sides. But luckily, you know, the thing was, you know, it was near the end of the level, so I didn't have too much trouble. So yeah, now I'll be able to give some really useful advice on this this stage coming up now. This is the hardest stage in the game, and this is the final stage. So now the main thing with this final stage is, so you see I'm starting with my base weapons because I had to start this level over many, many times. So to start out, make sure you get your little maggots here. So you get that little maggot. Now shoot it again. Get the other maggot. All right, so now you got your special weapon that you're going to need for the rest of the stage. Now from this point on, you have one goal for this section of the level. Stay alive. So the only thing you should be worried about picking up now is either weapon energy or health. Mostly health, because well, you're going to get a full health refill near the end of this stage. So as long as you can hold out to that, you could take as much damage as you like, but you'll be able to get all your health back anyway. Now shoot this and get that star to get full weapon power. Remember where that island is and shoot that to get your full weapon power. And your main concern is just going to be staying alive until you get to the end of the stage, because that's all you really have to be concerned with, because once you'll have all your full power-ups for the next final boss rush section, which is the hardest part of the stage. But this part is definitely dense, so it can be easy to die here. But yeah, stay in this left part right here where you see me, and I shoot the red planes. Now see that thing it dropped? See, I'm waiting for it to go off screen, and I grab it at the very last moment so that I can, in case I take any damage while it's on screen, you know, I get it at the last moment. But you couldn't see, but I was shooting red planes that come out of the left side of the screen at that point. So always remember that. Now on the left side of the screen, also with that small little ship in the background, you shoot one of those and you can reveal another store to get upgrades. But I didn't need him at this point because I didn't want the final special weapon. Like I said, it's useless. So yeah, now when you get here, you should usually have 120 to 130 health. You get like that health power up. Then you get another weapon power up by shooting in the middle of the screen. You'll get those 2 power-ups every time if you shoot in the middle of the screen. So keep those in mind. So your health should be good and your weapon should be good. But now you're going to have to maintain that for the rest of the stage. And it gets very tough to do so with how long this section is and all the bosses. And there's also some very hard sections between the bosses with ships going wild that can easily hit you. So now for this part, you'll see I'm using my shotgun weapon and I'm trying to get real close to the turrets. See, look how close I'm getting, and I'll start getting closer and closer as I get farther and more confident with that technique, because I was just starting to apply it. And that's what really made the level go down fast for me. Is when of course, I had the practice of already dying hours on this level, so I already knew the level. But the thing that gave me the edge to beat it was getting real close to those turrets with this shotgun weapon, and also planning out when I grabbed the weapon power-ups and the life power-ups. You know, and shoot these things on the side. So you get that elephant on the side, and there's a lot of times after you get one on the left, there's another one on the right somewhere. Not always, though. The one on the right is usually a full weapon power-up, but I don't think there's one in this area. But they're always in the same place. So yeah, I start getting real close, and I use my special weapon to give me a little bit of an advantage to get close and be able to take these things out. And you want to rely on that shotgun to kill those bullets. So dance around and get as close to those guns as you can get, because that'll kill them the fastest. And like I said, you don't have to kill any of these ships except for the final one, but it's a lot harder if you leave them alive, because then they're going to shoot at you the whole time until they disappear off screen. Now, if you do leave these ships alive and you leave some of the guns alive, you can dodge above pretty much all these ships by doing semicircle movements, above the ships and luring them to fire. And then when you lure out the fire, you move around in a semicircle around the ship, top of the ship. Now you can do that with most of these cruisers. Yeah, so make sure you get those 2 items that you just saw me reveal. You want to get those. And you want to balance out so that you keep your weapon energy and your health high. Sometimes if your health is getting low, fuck health, you want to keep your weapon energy high because you do not want to lose that shotgun weapon. It makes it much, much fucking harder. I also recommend not using your lightning bombs often at all on this part. Try to minimize that as much as possible because you want to have a few saved for the final boss. That's what really ended up allowing me to beat it. That and being able to shoot the turrets really close and take them out faster by doing that, concentrating fire. But yeah, you don't want to be abusing special weapons though on this final section. Here I went for my weapon power because I wanted to keep my weapon power at a higher rate because it drains, and once it goes away, you're back to your base gun, which sucks for this level. Because then you have no defense against all those bullets coming out on the side. All you can do is try to dodge them, but a lot of them come out at the last second. They spawn right on your fucking ass, a lot of these guys. So having that protection with that weapon is really important for this stage. And the game in general, but especially on this stage. So yeah, another one of these ships with the lines of guns. I think a charge shot can take them all out in a row if you line it up, but I prefer doing it this way and just getting in close and just gunning them down real fucking close range. And you should be able to take it out fast with this technique. So get in real fucking close. Only if you have the shotgun, of course, like I said. Because only the shotgun special weapon can shoot down bullets. And that applies to all the bullets on the shotgun weapon, even those middle bullets that look like the regular standard bullet, but they're not. Because they can actually shoot down bullets unlike the standard weapon. So yeah, now this is the end of the stage. You just have to, survive this bunch of these planes coming in. And then you'll deal with 2 cruiser ships. There's going to be one on your left and one on your right. And I recommend, when you get to those ships, I recommend trying to take out as many guns as you can on the left one before moving over and working on the right one. So yeah, try to take out a good amount of those guns. Now I use the lightning and move over to the right, which I may have not even needed to use it. The ones on the right don't seem to fire very frequently a lot of times. So take advantage of that. Shoot as many of them as you can. And now you're on the final boss. This is the same boss you fought in another level. Maybe even in several other levels because they recycle them so much. It's hard to remember. But anyway, get real close to these fucking guns. And just, weave left and right small movements and try to concentrate that fire as much as you possibly can on the guns. Hopefully you have a few special weapons saved up because you were making fast time on the bosses by getting in close, like I said. And use that concentrated fire to get rid of these guys as quickly as possible. And you'll minimize how much dodging you have to do. Otherwise, if you try to shoot them from far away, you're going to be dodging those things, weaving in and out. It's going to be hard as fuck. And that took me fucking hours playing like that. So once I did this method of getting in close and using the shotgun, I, beat the level within maybe a try or two, I think, or within a few tries. It was very quick. So that was the thing that really gave me that edge and allowed me to finally beat this level. So if you have any other questions, let me know. If there's anything I haven't covered, if there's any other games that you'd like to see. And thanks for watching.